I never knew I had a great Aunt Marguerite until the day her lawyer called to tell me she was dead, and that she had left me everything. $50 million. A mansion in Newport. Investment portfolios. Art collections. Everything. There was just one condition. I had to live in the house. Alone. For exactly 1 year. 365 days. If I left even once, I would forfeit everything. The entire inheritance would go to some charity I had never heard of. The lawyer's voice was smooth, professional. He said it like it was perfectly normal. Like wealthy people made these kinds of demands all the time. Maybe they did. But I was 32 years old working 60-hour weeks as a therapist in Boston, and I had never even heard this woman's name before. When I asked, why me, why this bizarre condition, he simply said, Miss Marguerite's instructions were very specific. She believed you were ready to face what was buried. Face what was buried. Those words have been echoing in my mind for 3 weeks now. And today, I am standing in front of the gates of Cliff House, watching them swing open like a mouth ready to swallow me whole. The house is massive. Gray stone, Victorian architecture, turrets and widow's walks, and windows that look like eyes. It sits on the edge of a cliff overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, and from where I am standing, I can hear the waves crashing against the rocks below. The gates finish opening. I grip the steering wheel of my Honda Civic. It looks ridiculous here, my little car with the check engine light that has been on for 6 months. But it is mine. Paid for. The last thing that is truly mine before I walk into whatever this is. I drive through. The driveway is long winding through perfectly manicured gardens, hedges shaped into perfect spirals, rose bushes still blooming even though it is late October. Someone has been taking care of this place. Someone has been waiting for me. I park in front of the entrance. A massive door dark wood with a brass knocker shaped like a lion's head. I sit in my car for a moment just breathing. I think about my apartment in Boston. Small. Cluttered. But mine. My practice. My clients. Rachel. My best friend, who thinks I am insane for doing this. She told me last week this is literally how horror movies start. Isolated mansion. Impossible condition. Dead relative you never knew about. She was half joking. But only half. I get out of the car. The air is different here. Salt and wind and something else. Something older. I walk up the stone steps. The door is unlocked. Of course it is. I am expected. I push it open. The foyer is enormous. Marble floors. A chandelier that looks like it weighs more than my car. A staircase that curves up to the second-floor red carpet running down the middle. And on a small table by the door, a letter. Cream-colored envelope. My name written in elegant cursive. I pick it up. Open it. Welcome home, Emily. The house remembers even if you don't. My hands start to shake. The house remembers. What does that mean? I have never been here before. I have never even heard of this place. But something about those words makes my stomach twist. Makes me feel like maybe I should get back in my car and drive away. Forfeit the money. Go back to my normal life. But I don't. Because the truth is, my normal life has been feeling wrong lately. Like I have been running from something I cannot name. Like there is something missing, some piece of my story that nobody will tell me. And maybe, just maybe, this house has the answers. I close the door behind me. The sound echoes through the foyer. Final. Permanent. I am in. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Emily Carter. I am 32 years old. I am a therapist specializing in trauma and family systems. I help people untangle the knots their families tied them up in. Funny how good I am at seeing other people's patterns and how terrible I am at seeing my own. I grew up in a suburb outside Boston. Middle-class neighborhood, normal childhood. Except my father left when I was 7, and my mother never talked about him. Ever. I asked once when I was 10, and she looked at me with such raw pain in her eyes that I never asked again. My mother raised me alone, worked 2 jobs, made sure I had everything I needed. But she was always vigilant, always watching, like she was waiting for something terrible to happen, like she was ready to run at any moment. I used to think it was because of my father leaving, some kind of abandonment wound. But now, standing in this house, I am wondering if it was something else. Something deeper. I walk through the foyer into what looks like a sitting room. Antique furniture, oil paintings on the walls, a fireplace so big I could stand inside it. Everything is immaculate, dust-free, like someone just walked out 5 minutes ago. I find a study on the first floor. Dark wood paneling, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a desk by the window with a view of the ocean, and on the desk a journal, leather-bound, my name embossed on the cover. I sit down in the desk chair. It is surprisingly comfortable. I open the journal. The first page is a letter written in the same elegant handwriting as the envelope. Dear Emily, you are probably wondering why I am doing this to you. It is not cruelty, child. It is liberation. Every woman in our family has tried to run from this house, from this legacy. Your grandmother ran. Your mother ran. But you cannot outrun what is in your blood. You can only face it, understand it, and choose differently. This year will be difficult. You will want to leave. You will have reasons to leave. But if you stay, if you face what was buried, you will finally be free. I have been watching you from a distance your entire life. I know about your work. I know about the women you help. You teach them about inherited trauma, about generational patterns, about how the survival strategies that saved their grandmothers become the prison bars for them. Now it is time for you to understand your own patterns. Time to break your own chains. The house will teach you, if you let it. With love and hope, Marguerite. I read it 3 times. My grandmother. She ran from this house. My mother. She ran from this house, and I never knew. Never knew any of this existed. I feel angry suddenly. Furious. How could my mother keep this from me? How could she let me grow up thinking we came from nothing, when apparently we came from $50 million and ocean view mansions and family legacies? I grab my phone, dial my mother's number. It rings 4 times before she answers. Hello? Her voice is cautious, like she has been expecting this call. Mom, I am at the house. Marguerite's house. Why did you never tell me about her? Silence. Mom, I hear her breathing. Then her voice quiet and cold. Because there was nothing to tell. She was dead to us. To me. She left me $50 million, Mom. She left me this entire estate and a letter saying that you ran from here, that Grandma ran from here. What does that mean? What was buried? Another long silence. Then I hear something I almost never hear from my mother. Fear. Emily, leave that house. Get in your car right now and leave. Forfeit the money. It is not worth it. What are you talking about? That house? That family? It is poison. It will twist you up. It will make you think you are healing, when really, you are just becoming another ghost haunting those rooms. Please, I am begging you. Leave. Tell me why. No. Mom, I need to understand. No. You don't. Understanding does not change anything. Understanding does not make you safe. I spent my entire childhood trying to understand, trying to fix it, and all it did was trap me longer. I got out. I saved us. And you were going to throw that away for money? I realize my hands are shaking again. Not with fear this time. With anger. You do not get to decide what traps me. You have spent my entire life keeping secrets, deflecting questions, teaching me to run from discomfort. And look where it got me. I am 32 years old, single, broke, exhausted, and still feeling like there is something wrong with me that I cannot name. So maybe, just maybe, understanding will actually help. Emily, I love you, Mom. But I am staying. I hang up. My heart is pounding. I have never talked to my mother like that. Ever. She raised me alone. She sacrificed everything for me. And I just hung up on her. But I am not sorry. I look around the study. This room has answers. This house has answers. And I am going to find them. I start opening drawers. Files. Documents. Old photographs. And then in the bottom drawer, I find a box. Heavy. Wooden. With a small brass latch. I open it. Inside are letters. Dozens of them. Yellowed paper faded ink. I pull out the first one. It is addressed to Marguerite, from someone named Catherine. I look at the date. 1974. That would make this my grandmother. Catherine? I never knew her name. My mother never told me. I start reading. Dear Marguerite, I do not know if I can do this anymore. He is getting worse. Yesterday he told me I could not leave the house without his permission, not even to go to the grocery store. He said it was for my own good, that the world is dangerous, that he is protecting me, but I do not feel protected. I feel trapped. You told me when I married him that he was charming. That charm and control often look the same at first. You were right. I just could not see it then. I was so young, and he was so sure of himself, so sure of what I needed. Now I am 30 years old, with a 10-year-old daughter, and I do not know how to leave. I do not have money of my own. I do not have family who would help. Just you. And you are all the way in Newport, and he will never let me go that far. I am scared, Marguerite. Scared of what he is teaching our daughter. Scared of what she will think is normal. Scared she will grow up thinking this is what love looks like. Please. If there is any way at all. Help me. Catherine. I sit back in the chair. My grandfather. He was abusive, controlling, isolating. Classic patterns. I have seen it 100 times in my practice, but seeing it in a letter from my grandmother in handwriting that shakes in places like she was crying while she wrote it is different. It is real. It is my family. I keep reading, letter after letter, years of them. My grandmother documenting her prison, and Marguerite responding, encouraging, sending money secretly, making plans, until finally, a letter dated March 1976. Marguerite, I am leaving tonight. I am taking my daughter. I do not know where we will go. Maybe your house. Maybe somewhere else. Somewhere he cannot find us. If he finds us, he will kill us. I know that now. I am not being dramatic. Last week he put his hands around my throat because I burned dinner. He let go. But next time he might not. I would rather die trying to be free than die slowly in this house. If something happens to me, please take care of my daughter. Please teach her that she deserves better than this. That we all deserve better than this. Thank you for never giving up on me. Catherine, my vision blurs. She made it out. I know she did because I exist. Because my mother exists. But the terror in those words. The courage it took to leave in the middle of the night with a 10-year-old child and nowhere to go. I understand now why my mother never talked about my father. Why she watched the doors and windows. Why she always had a bag packed in her closet like she was ready to run at any moment. She was. She has been running her entire life. And she taught me to run too. Taught me to never depend on anyone. Never let anyone too close. Never trust that safety is real. I have spent my entire adult life repeating that pattern. Every relationship ends the same way. As soon as it gets serious, as soon as someone wants more from me, I find a reason to leave. I tell myself it is about compatibility or timing or needing space. But really, I am just running. Just like my mother. Just like my grandmother tried to do. Inherited trauma. I write about it. I teach about it. But I have been living it without even knowing. I close the box of letters. It is dark outside now. I did not realize how much time had passed. I look at my phone. 6 missed calls from Rachel. 2 from my mother. I do not call back. Instead, I explore the house. 23 rooms. That is what the lawyer said. I count them as I go. Bedrooms, sitting rooms, a library, a music room with a grand piano covered in a sheet, a conservatory with windows on 3 sides and dead plants in pots, a dining room with a table that could seat 20 people, and on the 3rd floor, at the end of a long hallway, a locked door. I try the handle. It does not budge. I look at the key ring the lawyer gave me. 20 different keys. I start trying them. The 5th one works. The door swings open. It is a portrait gallery. 5 portraits. 5 women. All with dark hair. All with the same sharp cheekbones. The same intense eyes. The same slight tilt to their chins. Like they are daring the world to challenge them. I walk slowly down the line. The 1st portrait. A woman in a Victorian dress. The nameplate reads, Sarah Catherine Ashford, 1860 to 1920. The 2nd, Elizabeth Margaret Ashford, 1895 to 1952. The 3rd, Catherine Louise Ashford, my grandmother, 1946 to 1993. I stop. She died when I was 11. I remember my mother getting the phone call. Remember her crying silently in the bathroom. I asked if we were going to the funeral. She said no. We never talked about it again. The 4th portrait. Marguerite Victoria Ashford, 1942 to 2025. Just this year. An old woman in the portrait, but you can still see the beauty she must have been, the strength in her jaw, the intelligence in her eyes, and the 5th, an empty frame. Just a nameplate below it, Emily Catherine Carter. Below that, a 2nd plate, the one who stayed. My hands are ice cold. The one who stayed. Like it is inevitable. Like my staying here was decided a long time ago. Like I am just following a script someone else wrote. I feel dizzy suddenly. The room tilts. I grab the door frame to steady myself. This is too much. Too much history. Too much expectation. Too much weight. I walk out of the portrait gallery, close the door, lock it. I find the master bedroom. It is the only room that looks recently lived in. Marguerite's room. The bed is made with white linens. There are books on the nightstand. Reading glasses. A cup of tea long cold. I do not want to sleep in a dead woman's bed, but I am exhausted. And the other bedrooms feel too empty, too cold. I lie down on top of the covers, fully dressed, staring at the ceiling. I think about my apartment in Boston, my practice, my clients, my normal life. I think about $50 million, about what I could do with that kind of money. The women I could help, the clinic I could open, the freedom, and I think about the empty portrait frame, the one who stayed. What if I cannot do this? What if a year in this house breaks me instead of heals me? But then I think about my grandmother's letters, about the courage it took to leave in the middle of the night, about my mother raising me alone, always vigilant, always scared. I am tired of running, tired of being scared, tired of repeating patterns I did not even know I had. Maybe Marguerite is right. Maybe the only way out is through. I close my eyes, and I dream of drowning. I wake up to sunlight streaming through the windows. For a moment, I forget where I am. Then, I remember. The house, the letters, the portrait gallery. I check my phone. Day 2, 363 days to go. I get up. Shower in the massive marble bathroom attached to the master bedroom. The water pressure is incredible. I stand under the hot water for a long time, trying to wash away the heavy feeling from yesterday. When I get out, I find that someone has left supplies in the kitchen. Fresh food, coffee, bread. There is a note on the counter. Supplies will be delivered every Thursday. If you need anything specific, leave a note here. Marcus. Marcus. The groundskeeper. The lawyer mentioned him. Said he lives in the cottage at the edge of the property and takes care of things. I make coffee. Sit at the kitchen island. Look out at the ocean. It is beautiful here. I have to admit that. The way the morning light hits the water, the sound of the waves, the smell of salt air. If this were a vacation, it would be paradise. But it is not a vacation. It is a test, an inheritance with conditions, a year of facing what was buried. I spend the next few weeks settling into a routine. Mornings I work. I do virtual sessions with my clients back in Boston. It is strange being on video in this massive house. My clients ask where I am. I tell them I am house sitting for family. It is not quite a lie. Afternoons I explore. I read Marguerite's journals. She left dozens of them, spanning decades. I learn about her life, how she never married, how she watched her sister, my grandmother, suffer, how she tried to help but felt powerless, how she built her wealth through real estate investments, and lived alone in this house for 40 years. She writes about loneliness, about choice, about the difference between solitude and isolation. Solitude is something you choose. It is peaceful, restorative. It is having space to think your own thoughts without anyone else's noise. Isolation is something that happens to you. It is lonely, suffocating. It is being cut off against your will. My grandmother was isolated. Marguerite chose solitude. In me, I realize I have been isolating myself while pretending I was choosing solitude, pushing people away and calling it boundaries, running from intimacy and calling it independence. Inherited trauma. Same patterns, different justifications. It is week 8 when Marcus finally speaks to me beyond leaving notes. I am in the garden trying to identify the different plants. I hear footsteps on the gravel path. I turn. He is standing there holding a box. He is older than I expected, maybe 60. Gray hair, kind eyes, the kind of face that has seen things, but does not talk about them unless asked. Miss Carter, Emily, please. He nods. Miss Marguerite wanted you to have this. She said to wait until you had read the letters. What letters? He looks surprised. The ones in the study. From your grandmother. I found those. I read them. All of them. I think so. The box in the bottom drawer. He shakes his head. There is another box. In the library. Behind the complete works of Shakespeare. She said you would find it. When you were ready. I take the box from him. It is heavy. What is in here? Your grandmother's real journals. Not the letters she wrote to Miss Marguerite. The journals she kept for herself. The ones she hid from your grandfather. I look down at the box. My hands are shaking again. Why did Marguerite want me to have these? Marcus is quiet for a moment. Then he says because your mother thought running was the answer. Miss Marguerite thought running was just delaying the inevitable. She thought you might be the one strong enough to actually break the pattern. He turns to leave. Marcus. He stops. Looks back. Did you know my grandmother? He smiles, sad. I did. She was kind. Scared, but kind. She deserved better than what she got. He walks away back toward his cottage. I take the box inside. I do not open it right away. I make tea. I sit in the study. I look out at the ocean. And then finally I lift the lid. Inside are 5 journals. Spiral-bound notebooks. The kind you buy at the drugstore. The covers are worn edges frayed. I pick up the first one. Open to a random page. He told me today that I am too sensitive. That I overreact to everything. That normal wives do not cry when their husbands correct them. Maybe he is right. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe this is what marriage is, and I just had unrealistic expectations. But then why do I feel like I am disappearing? Like every day there is a little less of me left. I read the next entry. I tried to tell my mother today. Tried to explain what it is like. She said marriage is hard work. That I need to try harder. That he is a good man with a good job. And I should be grateful. Am I being ungrateful? Is this what grateful is supposed to feel like? And the next? I caught him going through my purse today. He said he was looking for gum, but I know he was checking my money, making sure I had not hidden any, making sure I could not leave. I am running out of ways to hide my escape fund, running out of places he has not thought to look. I read for hours, years of my grandmother's life, documented in drugstore notebooks, the slow erosion of self, the gaslighting, the control, the moments of clarity, followed by doubt, the plans to leave, followed by fear, the hope, followed by resignation, until the last journal, the last entry, March 12th, 1976. Tonight, I am taking Catherine, and we are leaving tonight. Marguerite sent me money. Enough for bus tickets and a hotel for a few weeks, enough to disappear. I am terrified. But I am more terrified of staying. More terrified of my daughter growing up, thinking this is normal, thinking this is love. If he finds us, he will kill us. I know that. He has told me as much. But staying is killing us slowly. And I would rather die trying to be free than die slowly in this house. For Catherine, for my daughter, for the woman I used to be before I met him. Tonight, I closed the journal. She did it. She left. She saved my mother. She saved me even though I would not be born for another 10 years. And now my mother lives in fear, always watching, always ready to run, because freedom came at such a high price. But what about me? What price am I paying for her survival, for her fear? I think about my ex-boyfriend Daniel, about the way he used to say he was worried about me working too much, about how he wanted me to depend on him more, about how he would show up unannounced and call it romantic. Red flags I ignored because they did not look like my mother's stories, because he never hit me, never threatened me. So how could it be the same? But control does not have to be violent to be control. I think about how relieved I felt when I finally ended it, how he called me cold, unavailable, incapable of real intimacy. Maybe I am. Maybe that is my inheritance. My grandmother's fear, my mother's vigilance, my inability to let anyone close. Or maybe I just keep choosing the wrong people. Keep choosing the ones who prove my fears right. Keep choosing the familiar discomfort over the unknown safety. It is month 10 when Daniel shows up. I am working in the study when the intercom buzzes. I have not heard it in months. Marcus uses the kitchen entrance. I am not expecting anyone. I walk to the panel by the front door, press the button. Hello, Emily. My stomach drops. Daniel? On the screen, I can see him standing at the gate. He looks the same. Dark hair, strong jaw, the smile that used to make me feel safe, and now makes me feel cold. What are you doing here? I came to see you. I have been calling for months. You have been ignoring me. I was worried. I am fine. You should go. Emily, this is insane. You have been living in isolation for almost a year. That is not healthy. I am here to help you, to bring you home. This is my home. For now. He laughs. It is not a kind sound. This is not your home. This is some weird test from a dead woman who you never even met. You are letting a stranger control your life from beyond the grave. I am about to respond when I see Marcus walk into frame. He stands next to Daniel, says something I cannot hear. Daniel turns to him, gestures angrily. Marcus does not move, just stands there, calm, immovable. I press the intercom again. Daniel, I need you to leave. I drove 6 hours to see you. I did not ask you to. I have been ignoring your calls because I do not want to talk to you. That should have been clear. You are not thinking straight. This place, this isolation, it is not healthy. I am worried about you. And there it is. The script. The same words my grandfather probably said to my grandmother. I am worried about you. You are not thinking straight. Let me help you. My voice is steady when I speak. I am thinking more clearly than I have in years. And I am not alone. I am finally meeting my family. The real ones. The women who survived, and the woman who is teaching me how to do more than just survive. You are talking about dead people, Emily. That is not healthy. That is grief. That is trauma. You need help. Professional help. I am a professional. Remember, and what I need is for you to leave. Now. Or I am calling the police. Silence. I watch him on the screen. Watch the mask slip. Watch the anger underneath. You are going to regret this. You think you are better than everyone now because some crazy old lady left you money? You are going to end up just like her. Alone? Bitter? Crazy? Marcus says something else. Steps closer. Daniel looks at him, then at the camera, then turns and walks away. I stand at the intercom panel shaking, but not with fear, with exhilaration. I did it. I held the boundary. I chose myself. That night, I go to the portrait gallery. I have been avoiding it since that first night. But I go now. I stand in front of the empty frame. Emily Catherine Carter. The one who stayed. I understand now. Staying is not about the house. It is not about the money. It is about learning that I can be alone without being abandoned. That I can choose solitude without choosing isolation. That I can have boundaries without having walls. My grandmother ran and spent her life looking over her shoulder. My mother ran and taught me to always be ready to run. Marguerite stayed and proved that staying could be a choice, not a trap. And me? I am learning the difference. I find Marguerite's final journal that night, the one marked for Emily open last. Inside a letter. Dear Emily, if you are reading this, you have made it almost to the end. I am proud of you. Prouder than I can say. I want to tell you why I really left you this house. Why I made you stay. Your grandmother escaped. Your mother survived. But both of them spent their lives looking over their shoulders, waiting for the monster to find them. They were so busy running they never stopped to realize they were free. I stayed. I claimed this house. I built a life here. Alone, yes. But alone by choice. And that choice made all the difference. I watched you from a distance, Emily. I read your work. I saw you helping other women understand their patterns. And I thought, she has the strength to do what we could not. She has the strength to stop running and still stay free. This year is not about the house. It is about teaching you that solitude is not the same as loneliness, that boundaries are not the same as walls, that you can be alone and not be abandoned. By the time you read this, you will have had opportunities to leave, to run, to go back to comfortable cages. If you have stayed, you have already broken the pattern. The inheritance is yours, all of it. But more than that, you are yours. Finally. Completely. And nobody can take that from you. Welcome home, Emily. Love, your great Aunt Marguerite. I cry, not sad tears. Relief tears. Tears that feel like they have been waiting 32 years to fall. Day 365. Sunrise. I walk to the front door. Open it. Walk out onto the steps. The gates are open. They have been open the whole time. I could have left any day. Broken the contract. Forfeited the money. Been free. But I chose to stay. That is the difference. That is the inheritance. Not the money. The choice. I walk back inside. The house is mine now. Legally. Completely. Irrevocably. I stand in the foyer looking around. At the chandelier. The marble floors. The staircase. This massive, beautiful, haunted house. And I know what I am going to do with it. I spend the next week making calls. To lawyers. To architects. To nonprofits that work with domestic violence survivors. I keep the top floor for myself, a place to retreat, to write, to think. The rest of the house I convert into a residential treatment center. A place for women leaving abusive relationships. A place where they can stay for as long as they need. A month. 6 months. A year. A place where they can learn the difference between solitude and loneliness. Between freedom and isolation. Between boundaries and walls. I call it Marguerite House. Marcus stays on. Becomes the groundskeeper and maintenance manager. And unexpectedly, one of the best advocates for the women who come through. Turns out, his sister was in an abusive marriage for 20 years. He gets it. Rachel visits monthly. Still skeptical. Still worried. But willing to admit that maybe, just maybe, I knew what I was doing. And my mother? I call her 2 weeks after the year ends. Mom? I am still here. I finished the year. The house is mine. Silence. I am turning it into a treatment center. For women leaving abusive relationships. More silence. Then her voice thick with emotion. Your grandmother would have loved that. I think so too. Mom, I want you to come visit. I want to show you something. Emily, I do not know if I can. That house, it holds so many bad memories. I know. But it holds good ones too. Or it will. And I think maybe it is time to add some new memories. Good ones. Together. Another long pause. Then okay. I will come. She comes for Thanksgiving. We walk the grounds together. I show her the treatment center. The bedrooms where women are rebuilding their lives. The therapy rooms. The library. The garden where Marcus is teaching some of the residents how to grow vegetables. We walk to the cliffs. Stand looking out at the ocean. My mother speaks first. Your grandmother used to stand here. When we would visit Marguerite, before everything got bad, she would stand right here and say she felt free when she looked at the ocean. I did not know you visited here. A few times. When I was very young, before my father isolated us completely. I barely remember. But I remember this view. I remember how my mother looked standing here. Happy. We stand in silence for a while. Then my mother says I am sorry. For what? For not telling you. For keeping so many secrets. I thought I was protecting you. But I think I was just teaching you to be afraid of the wrong things. You were doing the best you could. That is all any of us can do. You broke the pattern. You stopped running. I learned from you. Both what to do and what not to do. That is the real inheritance, I think. Not the trauma, the wisdom. The choice to do it differently. She takes my hand. We stand there, 3 generations of women who survived, who fought, who chose freedom each in her own way. It has been 6 months since I opened Marguerite House. 20 women have come through so far. Some stay a few weeks, some stay longer. All of them leave different than they arrived. Stronger, clearer, free. I still do therapy, still work with clients. But now I also run this place, manage the staff, fundraise, tell the story of why this house exists. I tell them about my grandmother, about Marguerite, about inherited trauma and generational patterns, about the courage it takes to face what was buried. I tell them that healing is not pretty. It is not an Instagram infographic. It is sitting alone in a mansion for a year, facing every uncomfortable truth, learning that being alone with yourself is only scary if you have been running from who you are. I tell them that freedom is not the absence of fear. It is choosing yourself even when you are terrified. And I tell them that breaking generational patterns is not about forgetting where you came from. It is about remembering, understanding, and then choosing something different. Something better. Today I am standing on the cliffs behind Marguerite House. The sun is setting. The ocean is turning gold and pink and purple. It is breathtaking. I think about the empty portrait frame upstairs, the nameplate that says Emily Catherine Carter, the one who stayed. I thought about changing it. But I kept it. Because I did stay. Not because I had to, not because I was trapped, but because staying for once was the bravest thing I could do. They say the sins of the father are visited on the children, but they never talk about the daughters who refuse to keep visiting, who lock the door, who say no more, who build something new in the ruins of what almost destroyed them. That is generational healing. That is the real inheritance. And it is worth more than $50 million. Trust me,